Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. Hey, what's going on, guys? Josh Marsden here, host of the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. And I've got Brenda Mendez here. Now, Brenda, she is a phenomenal branding consultant. She's the former CEO of Snow. Snow grew to 9 figures, I believe it was, right?
8 figures and nine figures valuation for sure.
Okay, see, so she's got a wealth of experience that she's going to share today on the show. I'm really excited to have her. Brenda, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah. This is going to be awesome. I'm really excited. So, if we could maybe just start off by you telling the audience a bit about yourself and just your backstory and how you got started, that would be awesome.
Okay. Well, I won't take you guys that far to bore you, but what got me here. So let's start with a little bit of my backstory. I'm a daughter of 2 immigrant parents who immigrated here from Mexico, and I want to say I was able to accomplish the American dream and live it up. And I was able to go through the corporate America. I graduated from college. I did that. I did my little check marks. And then I got into e-commerce, which I love. And I'm so happy that it wasn't a straight road. It was a very challenging journey, but I am here now. And what I really love to do is help others and really lead entrepreneurs in growing their business, creating a brand for themselves, and also being able to have options, just like we all want, right? So that's that's a little bit about me, my backstory.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I know you have clients that call you like mom, right?
They do. I come in because I'm not only coming into a business to help the actual business, I help the actual entrepreneur, and everything connects well with each other. And I do have a lot of my kiddos, which younger, older, they call me mom because I come and I structure and I organize and I make their lives easier.
Yeah. So how did you get started with Snow? Could you tell us maybe the origin of just, the product, the brand, how it just came about?
How was it born? Let's see, because I'm the mother, right?
especially your input in its origins. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yes, so like I said before, I was in corporate America. I was very analytical and went into the accounting background, worked for the largest accounting firm, Deloitte, and then I figured that I was a lot more creative than analytical, and I really wanted to pursue that. So I ended up going and working for a marketing agency, and that's where I met the founder there, and we were testing our own internal e-commerce products with the agency, so we're able to learn and help our clients out. And so that was a great learning experience, and that's how Snow grew. It grew from a pet project to a really fast-growing e-commerce brand, and I started right from the beginning. I ended up doing all the operations. I started off fulfilling the product, doing the customer service, the fulfillment, and so growing each teams, really delegating every task that I started, and then seeing the brand really take off so fast from 0 to 8 figures in just 3 years. I was able to learn so much, so fast, so many challenges that I love hearing these challenges with other e-com entrepreneurs, and I get excited, and they look at me crazy. It's like, why are you excited? Because this is exactly what I went through, and I get to come and just save you money and time and allow you to grow faster with avoiding those problems that I went through at the beginning.
Yeah. So how much did you have to hustle earlier on? Those first, let's just say 12 months, 18 months, how much work, how much time did you put into the business?
So much time. I would say 16 hours a day, or so much time that I sometimes had to miss family events or occasions just because I knew these growing pains from an e-commerce business, especially from a physical product, you're growing so fast and you have to catch up with that growth. If not, it will make or break a business. And if this is what you signed up for, why are you running away from it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that hustle mentality. I think mentally it's a lot harder than physically. I mean, there was times where I was just standing up doing fulfillment orders, or I knew I had to get other people and start outsourcing what I actually did, when I knew I did 1,200 customer service emails, and then I would wake up the next day and there were still more. So I knew that I had to remove myself from that and not become a bottleneck. So that's what I knew.
1,200. Did you hear that, guys? 1,200.
It started in Gmail first, so that was customer service from the start, from Gmail, and then those are the steps you take as you grow. You take calculated, affordable steps to grow. So we went from Gmail, from a software to now a huge software and customer service. The growth of it, now it's automated. So just to see that growth on its own.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I bring that up because I know that there's a lot of people in the audience who are going to see this episode that are pretty new in their business and their journey, and I just want them to know, like, it takes hustle. You know, it takes discipline. It takes like a lot of sacrifice, which you mentioned. You sacrificed family events that a lot of people won't sacrifice. You know, to be able to drive the business. You know, hit the business goals, you know, when you were over at Snow. So, you know, that's why I wanted to bring that up. So what are you doing currently?
Yeah, so currently I recently stepped down. I'm just a partner and a former CEO of Snow. I stepped down to really make a bigger impact with helping entrepreneurs, again, skip these challenges, save the money, and really grow and make a brand for themselves. And I really love working with entrepreneurs that want to make a huge statement in there and disrupt their industry. So I love doing that. I have a couple partnerships with agencies that I help them with their e-commerce clients. There's a lot in the works that I won't say much, but for the time being, that's what I'm doing.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. What gives you the most energy right now? What gives you like the most passion out of anything you're involved with right now?
What gives me the most passion? Personally, I would say investing in myself. There's a lot of mental draining and emotional draining when you're building a company that I decided to take a step back and really refocus my priority in taking care of myself, so that way I can serve others better. And so what really drives me is, again, taking care of myself first and then helping others. And I love seeing entrepreneurs grow in the best way and avoid those problems that I knew early on that I wish somebody would have told me when growing this company.
Yeah, what were some of those problems that you mentioned?
Some of those problems in general growing.
Yeah, I just think that the audience, we're looking at it from a holistic standpoint instead of just business and strategies and growing, and I think that the audience would definitely value like hearing some of these, if you don't mind sharing.
No, yeah, of course.
This way they can maybe learn from your experience.
There are so many, but the ones that really come up are, one, because it's a direct-to-consumer product, you hold a lot of inventory, and so there's an ongoing cash flow issue. But for me, since I worked on the company day-to-day in operations, the biggest challenge when growing this company was making sure you forecast inventory. So one of the biggest problems that I faced, our product is such a giftable during the holidays. It's so special. It's so hot, trending. It was really hard to really pinpoint forecasting inventory. And so either we had too little or too much. And there's days, every single Black Friday, we generated more than $1 million in sales in one day. And so just imagine the logistics of running that company and those amount of sales during the whole time during the holidays. And so if one thing is not right, it's a snowball effect, no pun intended. It's a snowball effect where if you don't have your systems right or correctly, whether it's in fulfillment or customer service or marketing decides to put a banner ad or buy one get one free kind of thing.
Yep.
You don't really anticipate for that, and everything has to really communicate in a seamless way when it seems like you just can't you can't have your systems not work together. You have to communicate. And so inventory was a big issue during the holidays. It was really hard to forecast that. And then another challenge that we went through, that I personally went through growing this business, was taking an e-commerce brand and getting it retail ready. So that was the hardest and most challenging thing to do, to get it retail ready. And there's so many things that go into it. But we did it. We have a huge brands like Neiman Marcus, QVC, Target that really gave us that stamp of approval to be able to be on shelves. And to see an e-commerce brand go on shelves it's like that's when you made it. And to make that happen, to have a team that was able to do that happen was amazing.
No, it's awesome. That's awesome. Lots of experience there, I'm sure. So was that getting into stores? Was that like one of your growth strategies at Snow? Or was that just something that just came up as you had success?
So in learning to take an e-commerce brand into retailer, now looking back at it, reflecting, I would say it's a branding strategy and a branding positioning, because these stores don't automatically say, here's a PO for 10,000 orders. No. They say, here's a PO for 500, depending on the store, depending on like the strategy, the partnership. The POs are so low, and knowing the power that you have online where you can generate 10,000 orders in a couple of days. You have that power. And we're very grateful. And we take that for granted as e-commerce. But when you get a PO for this low amount, the strategy is not volume, it's not sales in that way. It's more of a branding positioning, saying, wow, Snow is now in Neiman Marcus shelves, isn't at Target. And so that is the strategy there.
Gotcha. They help each other, basically. They cross-pollinate, basically. Gotcha. Okay. So basically, just to summarize what you said, it's you get more profit probably selling it directly, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Because I've heard that about retail, that you don't make a big percent of profit, but it's good for your brand, especially when you're out there marketing online, and you could say, like, as seen in Neiman Marcus and Target, I believe you mentioned, right? So that helped each other, it sounds like?
It did. Okay. It was an amazing brand strategy to help us elevate the brand. So that is when you get to elevate the brand, it all connects together online and offline. It's almost a perfect marriage. It was really hard. I would suggest, should going into retail or not, it's an iffy point, but I would do it 100 times, even though it was the hardest thing I had to do.
Well, why was it so hard, though?
Because they have so many, it's so many hurdles and challenges to go through. They gave me a packet this big to go through. It's like I was back in accounting school of every single detail. It's like the barcode has to be on the right side, 10 millimeters or whatever it is from the borderline. You have to have this type of packaging. You have to have a sticker that says, is it choking hazardous? You have to have this size of bag. You have to have these clarifications, things that you don't think of when you're selling direct to consumer, where it's like just sending it off.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with retailers, they have 100 millions of rules that you have to abide by.
Wow.
And you don't, because they're covering, pardon my French, but they're covering their ass because they're selling something to their consumers, and so that's their brand as well. They can't sell something to their own consumers because it's going to hit them. They're taking that risk up front.
Yeah, totally.
So they make you go.
They got to back themselves up, basically, is what you're getting at. So I gotcha. So I assume there was probably lots of challenges in meeting those requirements, because now you're like having to customize like the box, right? You customize the product maybe a little bit. You probably have to go out and get certain maybe certifications or right validations and stuff like that to meet those requirements, right?
Yeah, and claims. So you know how you get to be very creative in marketing and these Facebook ads, and this is what it does, and these are all the things. You actually have to back it up when you're going to retailers and saying all these claims. It's like, okay, let me see your third-party testing to make sure those claims are legitimate. And so having to go through all those steps, even though we did have them, is like now they have to be 3 times of different third-party. And sometimes these retailers have specific people that they want you to go through, and so that's another money up front that you're investing into that. So there's all these rules that you have to go through that.
Yeah. So, wow. Well, it seems like that would be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Going through, all those steps and making sure that you check off all those boxes. You said it was like a packet that big, right?
It was this much of everything you had to, and even for the fulfillment is like, now you have to put them in this type of box, and that box has to be sealed by the U.S. cardboard manufacturer instead of trying to outsource it and save money through overseas.
Yep.
It's every single thing, your claims, your packaging, redesign the packaging,
Wow.
the fulfillment, every single box that is packaged is one box inside another box with this type of tape, like that type of detail.
Jeez. Wow.
But I'm the best person to do it because I'm detail oriented, and so it was a good challenge.
Yeah, that's good. Good. And then how'd that help, after you started to make headway into department stores, how did that help the overall business? Like, what was like some of the residual impacts? Like after that first domino fell, what happened after that?
I would say overall it's the brand elevation to be able to now use those claims into your Facebook ads or wherever it's at, and now there's a higher authority and validation from these big retailers, and so now the perception from the customers is saying this company's legitimate now, because when you make such a big impact online and as a brand, then you start getting a lot of people that start copying you, and there's so many things online. Now there's all these resellers on Amazon, and so now when you're able to have those seals of validation as a customer, as other vendors, and now when Neiman Marcus gets you, now Bloomingdale's knocking on your door and saying, oh, Neiman Marcus carried you, we want to carry you. So it elevates your brand.
That's awesome. And social proof's everything when it comes to Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I mean, just social media, they want to see that it's a reputable product that, and if you have big brands behind the product, that obviously elevates how the brand's seen in your posts and your advertisements. Yeah. So what other strategies, would you mind sharing when it comes to growing, Snow further during your tenure there? Like, what are some other strategies maybe you could share with the audience that they could possibly, apply to their own e-commerce businesses to have success?
So I have two really big ones that really helped grow this brand and on a bigger overview and also from the day-to-day. One of the biggest ones that a lot of entrepreneurs oversee, it's the customer experience journey and what that looks like. And I say that they oversee that because it's a lot of entrepreneurs also aren't their own customers. And so when I talk to them, it's like, well, you're looking at a way of how you would buy, how you would see this ad, how you would see this packaging, and you really have to take a step back. And what I really love is putting myself in the customer's shoes and really going through that whole experience. And that whole experience has to be very consistent, and it's your brand, it's your messaging. And so it goes all the way. I do this audit at the beginning where it's like, let me see your Facebook ads and what that looks like, and going to the website and what that experience on the website looks like. But what I really loved and what I really accomplished at Snow was creating this amazing unboxing experience for the customer that I'm very well known for, even though I'm not in front and saying I did this. It was a team effort, but I really took pride in developing the best experience for the customers through their packaging. And so when they receive that packaging, it's like Christmas every day of the year, because it's a Snow product. You open it up. I mean, I'm so branded and invested so much time that customers were like, I can't open it. I can't use this packaging because it's beautiful and it's right next to my Apple products, the boxes that we never throw. It's such an Apple-esque, aesthetically pleasing experience. So I have a branded envelope. You open it up. I have the branded tissue paper with the sticker. You open it up. It's like an apple. It's so soft. There's the whole 9 yards with that. And I went a little overboard, but I love it. And that's...
Yeah.
That was a great experience for the customer. So companies should look at that customer experience, and there's always ways to improve it.
Totally. Well, the experience that you give customers is everything in any type of business. And guys, she's brilliant at that stuff too. You should follow her on Instagram. She's always basically giving tips in your life, basically, as you see brands and you see brand placement. You're like basically making huge recommendations. They should be watching it. So anyway, I just thought I would mention that because you guys should definitely follow her on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
So what was you said there was another strategy you wanted to share?
The other strategy is not focusing on one traffic source. So what I really emphasize is diversifying your distribution channels. And so a lot of challenges that we face is we're at the mercy of, I'm just going to say it, Facebook ads, or that's a great traffic source, sells, it's amazing, but that CPA increases so high, especially during seasonal, where everybody's trying to pay for that same placement, where the best thing to do is diversify that. And so what we did really well, and this applies to every e-com business, is for us, let's just say we did wholesalers. So putting your product in spas, dentists, that's going to give you a fixed CPA or a cost. You know your cost right away, right? It doesn't fluctuate. So having that, then we went on to retailers, offline, then we did partnerships. So with brands that really make sense. So a partnership with a wine subscription business, it makes sense because wine stains your teeth, or a coffee business. So those partnerships are really going to help out. And it can also be as steep as creating a product with them, or just switching your products with each other, an email swap, or even an actual postcard in each shipment. So there's different types of way to do that partnership. And then there's also an ambassador program, affiliate program.
So a lot of these, I know what all that stuff is, but can you explain some of that stuff, like email swap, for example, what strategies you put into your affiliate program that you felt really worked well to get affiliates on board and to help affiliates, generate sales for Snow? Can you maybe explain, those aspects a little bit further?
Yes. So these different channels of sales. So the email swap would be like, you have this email list of your customers. I have mine. How many customers do you have in your email list? Let's create this really nice, aesthetically pleasing to the customer email, where it's like, get 20% off with this code, and you can track that code based on how many sales you get when you exchange this email. So it's like, create an email for your brand, I'll send it to my list, and I'll create an email for our brand, and you'll send it to your list.
Yep.
And then the ambassador program is really, it's a difference between an ambassador program and an influencer marketing campaign, because I would say we were very lucky to be on that trend early on, to ride that influencer marketing campaign that did extremely well for us. But now that it's very diluted in social media, transitioning that to an ambassador program. And the ambassador program is going to be more for your brand and how they speak. So investing in them and making sure they speak well about your brand, and to their followers, what type of followers do they have, making sure they're very engaging, that it's going to work out, a better ROI, rather than, now for me, what I look at is, if you're going to have an influencer campaign, is more for the content. Now it's for the content. So I have a structure where it's like micro influencers all the way to the top of like major influencers, where it's really going to drive that ROI. But I'm not looking for that ROI down here, because it's more for getting my brand name out there and getting that content. So it's a different strategy, and that could be a whole other episode.
Yeah, sounds like it. So it sounds like, though, that reaching out to other brands to cross-pollinate audiences and basically email each other's audiences, and come up with affiliate offers that you could promote to each other's audiences. This way, the affiliate, the partner that you're partnering up with gets rewarded for agreeing to that with you. Sounds like that was worth your company's time, because that's a business development, right? So it definitely paid off. So that's a good channel that an e-commerce brand watching this can really, really chase after, is they can start to cultivate some of those relationships, reach out to brands that, have that potential, right? And
so understand where your customer is at, and try to have different sources of distribution channel. And the bigger question to ask yourself is, if this channel was to go down, how much would it impact my business? The question is not if it's going to impact your business. Is what percentage of that are you relying, that if this channel was to go down for a day or just go away, even like, let's just say Amazon was to die tomorrow and your sales were all on Amazon, the question is, how much is it going to impact you?
Yeah.
And so it's decreasing that relying on it and increase the other different channels. So
Yep.
you level the playing field.
Yeah. When you're at that level of sales, like you do have to diversify like your channels. Otherwise, you can cost yourself a lot of money if you're too focused on like one channel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what were some of the challenges that you experienced in like growing Snow? And I'd love to hear like, what those challenges were, what did you learn from those challenges, and how'd you overcome those challenges, and what was the outcome?
Yeah, I think I spoke a little bit about the challenges, and I can speak more in detail. One of the biggest challenges was the inventory that I talked about during the holidays, especially Black Friday, where sometimes we started getting so much coverage during that time that our sales increase, which is an amazing thing, but you can't really forecast that. If, let's say, when we were on Wendy Williams' show and she put us on air and it was a last minute thing and she loved us and they keep putting us on, and so you don't really forecast for, now that we're offline, those inventory processes and forecasting that was the biggest challenge. What I learned from that is it's better to, I guess, have more inventory, which is it's a double-edged sword in a way, because it's a lot of cash up front. But the way I ended up finding a solution is either renting temporary spaces for warehouses or working with other people that had extra space during that time and putting that extra inventory, knowing that we can sell it again, having the power online to drive those sales. But it's for the holidays, for us especially, we knew that it was better to have more inventory than less, especially during last minute sales or now offline partnerships.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's awesome. Let's talk about your consulting experience now. I know you work with very successful e-commerce companies and agencies. What are some of the common challenges you're seeing with especially e-commerce companies that you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, apart from the actual entrepreneur that is going crazy and not getting enough sleep, and I tell him how important it is because I was in that exact moment, I tell him to meditate, and after that, the biggest challenge that I do see is, again, they're having a challenge in building a brand, and so it's a very instant gratification of seeing sales, especially volumes, driving so much traffic and sales, that I come in and I say, there's a specific one where it's like, what's your biggest challenge? Let's look at it holistically. And one of the biggest challenge for them, it was like, we have a really high return rate. And so that's a story for me. It's like, let's go down and see why that rate is so big. Why is that return rate so big? The chargeback is high. Then you have a lot of challenges with the merchant, with everything correlates. And so I was able to find out the challenge and find a solution is like, what is the customer experience? It goes back there. So building the brand, the customer experience, what is it? And why is there so many returns? Well, I found out that it was a lack of education. And because they weren't able to really step into what the customer needed. And so I ended up helping them develop a sheet of the customer service and ask them, why are they returning? We need to ask those questions. We need to get down to the problem. And so it was a lack of education. So I developed their whole branding experience, their customer experience, from the website to the way the videos from the Facebook ads to the packaging where they get now a different set of educational postcards where it's like, visit our videos. Now we're going to create a whole educational videos. So then it decreases the return rate.
Gotcha. So basically, they didn't know everything about the product leading up to the purchase, it sounds like.
They didn't know how to use it, so that was the lack of education. Okay. And so they would get frustrated. Again, we are in an age where we need to find out how things work quickly.
Yep.
And then, so instead of looking at this lengthy manual, it's like, people learn. We have to get to the customer of how they learn and how they digest information in different ways. So that's going to be through videos, that's going to be through a follow-up email, and that's going to be in a physical postcard on showing them an infographic, digital way of like how to use the product. And so now there's no excuses. But with that said, making sure that the product works and always working with the manufacturer, making sure that you can always improve your product to make sure it works and it's the best product out there. And then the rest should just work out.
Yeah.
And if you have the best product and it's not working out for you and you still have those return rates, then there's a bigger problem, which is the educational way.
Yeah. So it sounds like businesses have to have a balance between the efforts behind selling and the efforts behind the actual brand, the experience, because they actually impact each other. Because you could get the sale, but if they're just returning the product at a high rate, then what's the point? You know, then you're basically losing money. More than likely.
The brand loyalty. And customers are complaining. Everything goes hand in hand. But let's not put money into a black hole where this system and this packaging experience, this customer experience is not well put out.
And this affects return rates, affects customer lifetime value, which in my opinion is the number one metric of any business. So, and that's why that aspect of a business is so vital and so important. And it sounds like you have like an instrumental impact on your clients, especially on that aspect of their business. And I'm sure operationally because of all your experience. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, this is kind of like a fun little bonus round we do here on the show. So here's how it works. So I'm going to ask you just a series of simple questions. But the challenge is you have to answer each question with only one word.
With one word, okay. This is going to be a challenge, but I'll do my best.
Okay. So what caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Branding.
Okay. What advice do you have for other e-commerce business owners?
Long term. So looking at it long term.
Okay. How would you describe yourself?
That's the hardest question on here. How would I describe myself with one word? Empathetic.
Okay. And what do you see in your future?
Possibilities and opportunities.
That's 3 words.
It's the same. It's 2. Okay. Opportunities.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. Well, how can, the audience reach out to you, follow you, get to know you, and possibly hire you to help them, with their operations, their brand, and just help them, scale and grow their business?
Social media is the way. I'm always on it. I look at my Instagram faster than I look my text messages. So you can find me at Brenda Mendez X on Instagram and Facebook.
Simple. Okay. Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an awesome opportunity to have you on here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.